So I read the data from a CSV file which is stored on the storage, Azure storage, through Azure Databricks. So in this session, I'm going to explain you very high level concepts of Azure Databricks, what exactly happening behind the scene and why Azure Databricks. So first thing what we did is we used a notebook and I wrote a Python code, 2-3 line Python code to read data from that CSV file. So what is a notebook? A notebook is an integrated development environment, we can say, for our understanding, which supports many languages in big data world. For Python, Scala, R, I have mentioned here. Apart from that, it also supports SQL. So we write code in notebooks and then we execute it. So when we execute the code, where it gets executed, it executes on the Azure Databricks cluster. So cluster is nothing but a machine. I'm going to explain that as well. So the code gets submitted to the Azure Databricks cluster. So cluster is nothing but it's a Apache Spark engine. So Azure Databricks has customized that Spark engine. It has added libraries. It has added more functionalities. It has added integration with Azure services. And when we executed the code, how it got executed? Using inbuilt libraries. So we just specified spark.read.csv and it took care of connecting the source, reading the file, opening that file and reading data engine, right? So I took an example of very small file. Spark is able to read a very big file, which has size of GBs, terabytes, petabytes. So in the behind, what it does, it's parallel processing. So it reads the data, it processes data using multiple nodes. So it takes the help of multiple machines. So data gets distributed on those multiple machines. It reads the data using those different machines and then collects the output. So let us understand what is cluster and what is parallel processing or the nodes. So on the left side on this slide, you see Databricks, one cluster. So this diagram is about only one cluster. We can create one or more clusters in Azure Databricks. For one cluster, there are two drivers, driver 1 and driver 2. There are more than one worker nodes. So those boxes are nothing but nodes. Nodes are nothing but machines, we can say. So drivers are also called as head nodes. So there are always two, not less than two, not more than two drivers available. However, we can control number of worker nodes. So what is the difference? So driver node takes care of managing all the requests. Whatever the request we submit, actual goes to the driver node. Then it analyzes how many worker node it will require depending on the size of the data and type of the request. Accordingly, it splits the job into many instructions or steps and submit different steps to the different worker nodes. Once the work is done by worker nodes, it collects the output and gives us to the user or who is calling or who has submitted the request to that system back. So at a time, only one driver works. If one driver is overloaded or failed to do job because of some technical glitches, driver 2 acts automatically. So this is how Azure Databricks, in short, a Spark works behind the scene. So whatever I have shown the architecture is actual part of Spark engine. It is a Spark architecture. So Azure Databricks has added libraries integration, and more functionalities on top of the core Apache Spark engine. So Spark parallel processing is nothing but the worker nodes completes their own assigned tasks parallelly, and that is where the big data gets processed very fast and efficient way on the Apache Spark. And Azure Databricks is nothing but Apache Spark takes the advantage of this parallel processing. So now let us go ahead and read the data from storage, process data, transform data, and save it in the target system.